Often in our lives, we believe we're unique. And you are. Nobody on the planet has got the uniquely same wisdom, knowledge, experience, beliefs, upbringing and background as you. And it's easy to think that because we've got all of this knowledge and wisdom, it's easy to go into the next chapter of our lives alone. But here's the thing. We all need help. As the old African proverb says, if we want to go fast, go alone. But if we want to go far, go together. And the reality is, with life expectancy ever expanding, the next chapter of your life is more likely to be a marathon than it is a sprint. But we also need help to keep us on track. So in this video, I want to talk about the benefits of getting accountable to keep us on track and the methods that you can use to make sure that you stay on track so the next chapter of your life is the best chapter ever. Welcome to What Happens Next. Now, I've just finished writing the What Happens Next book. Feel free to click on the comments below if you want to join the waiting list. It's going to be out early in 2026. And finishing this project actually, has made me realise something really important. Nobody does anything of consequence on their own. Because even though I've written the book, I've written every word of the book, I've had bucket loads of support, loads of accountability, and I've had people through the interviews we've been doing for over 18 months now on What Happens Next, providing me with consistently good and interesting ideas and asking insightful questions. So I definitely haven't done it alone. I'm not a fan of this self-made man fallacy, a story we often tell ourselves which paints a picture of our lives as entirely dependent on what you've done. And the reality is, if we really looked at our lives, we'd be always reliant on other people. Now, the reason I'm not a fan of that fallacy is because clearly personal effort and knowledge are involved in what we've done in our lives. We cannot do it alone. We need other people around us. And when it comes to the journey to the next chapter of our lives, be that retirement or what happens next, the same principle applies. We sometimes need frameworks, habits, and also people to help keep us accountable to what we choose to do ourselves. So without further ado, here's the 5 things I reckon you should consider when thinking about what happens next to keep you accountable to the life you're saying you want to live. The first one is simple. It's self-reflection. It's likely in the next chapter of your life, you're going to be trying loads of new things out. However, instead of just keeping busy trying loads of new things out, how do you decide what ones are actually working for you and you want to fit into the new life you want to build and what ones aren't? At the end of the last century, Graham Gibbs created a model I believe might be useful to be aware of when you're thinking about whether something is the right fit for your new life or we can actually bin it, we can get rid of it. First of all, you try a new experience, you try something that you might think you enjoy that fits into the next chapter of your life, and then spend some time reflecting on that experience. And that goes in the following order. Firstly, you talk about what happened. You may write this down and self-reflect or think about it. How did it make you feel? Was it a fun, uplifting experience or did you feel differently? Was the experience both positive and challenging? Evaluate what it brings to your life in this next chapter. What happened and why did things turn out how they did? But also, if you didn't enjoy it, what can you learn from it and what you're going to do different next time? And then the practical action you're going to take on this self-reflection. That might mean trying something new and going back and doing it again and that fitting into the next chapter model of your life. That also might mean avoiding things like that every time in the future. However, every experiment, every experience in the next chapter of your life is a useful one because it gives you data that you can learn from and then take action from. Now, you can use this reflective model in a bunch of different ways, from trying a new sport or hobby to seeing what kind of work might work for you if you choose to do that in the next chapter of your life, all the way from spending time with friends and choosing to get involved in communities and causes you believe in. The good news is we can all self-reflect. However, it does mean that we might want to create some space and time in our day so that we can get into that habit of self-reflection. And this next tip might help you have a more formalised process to help you reflect in a better way. And that's journaling. Journaling, the act of simply writing down your thoughts, feelings, ideas and reflections, either prompted by some questions or free-flowing, turns all of those random ideas in your head into something with a bit more clarity. Now, personally, I find writing a really cathartic experience, but also an experience where I get to clarify what I actually think and believe about the world. I'd recommend journaling or writing on a regular basis, and I use prompts when I journal and write, but also rereading past entries to see how you felt at a particular point in time and what you can learn from that experience. Now, the good news is we are building our own What Happens Next journal. It's going to be part of the package that you can get access to when we launch the premium What Happens Next community early in 2026. There's a waiting list that you can join. It's in the comments below. But if you'd like to and you're watching this on not on your phone, you've got your phone to hand, simply point your phone at that QR code below and it will take you to a page where you can be one of the first people to find out about the What Happens Next community and get either your digital or leather-bound journal as soon as it's released. However, sometimes self-reflection and journaling isn't enough. That's why tip number 3 is really important. And that's consider an accountability partner. Now, accountability partner is a person, friend, family member, peer with whom you share goals with and check in regularly. And like a coach, this relationship is friend to friend. It's probably less formal than a relationship with a coach. And it's really designed for mutual encouragement and accountability. Having somebody on your side as a reminder and somebody to hold you to account, as well as having a lot of fun and having a great relationship on the way, might be really useful. But here's some tips for picking a decent accountability partner. Pick someone you trust who wants the best for you. Not somebody who's going to complain and moan, but also shoot down the ideas that you want to try. Set a regular time to chat and schedule where it's going to be, because that regular check-in means that you're going to arrive more likely with some of these experiments about What Happens Next completed. If it's going to be a call, a walk, a coffee or a digital check-in, that's fine, but schedule it in advance. And then as the relationship develops and you're chatting about different stuff, adjust what you need. But you do want to ask that accountability partner to actually keep you accountable. And that's all about asking the questions that you might want or need when you're thinking about the next chapter of your life on the stuff you're telling them you want to do. However, if you don't feel comfortable having those sort of conversations informally with a friend, it might be, and this is my next suggestion, worth thinking about some one-to-one coaching. One-to-one coaching often blends emotional and practical support from a trained coach. Professional coaches use frameworks to help you look at the stories you tell yourself about the world, ask challenging questions, and think through your own thoughts about a particular subject. A high-quality coach can provide useful frameworks to think about, either a particular challenge in the world. They can also keep you accountable, but they can also provide feedback. My experience is that a great coach will hold up a mirror to your world and help you ask the right questions, reflect, and make the right decisions for you. If I'm being perfectly frank, the What Happens Next book wouldn't have been finished in the timescale that I want it it to be without my brilliant coach Ruth. And if you're watching this, thank you, Ruth. It's really appreciated. Because having that accountability, but also that fairly independent mirror on my actions and behaviours has allowed me to really focus on what I want to achieve in this chapter of my life. However, if one-to-one coaching is out of your budget or it's not for you, here's a suggestion. Join a community group. Joining a community group of like-minded people who are going through the same opportunities and challenges you might be facing might give you the support you need. Being part of these communities allow you to share experiences, learn from each other, support each other, share ideas, and hopefully celebrate each other's wins. Now, we're going to be launching the What Happens Next community when we launch our services at the start of January 2026. And simply click the link below and join the waiting list to find out more when we do that. One of the other things that we're doing, this brand spanking new, and we're really excited about, is an AI coach, an artificial intelligence coach. Because actually, even though AI coaches in their current form don't replace the human coach experience or a community, getting support 24/7 when you need it and pointing to content that might be really useful for you for a challenge you're going through in that particular time is another way that technology has innovated to support you with your What Happens Next journey. So consider that as part of the mix, and we'll be talking a lot more about the AI coach throughout the year. So here's the ways I'd recommend you consider to stay accountable when you're on your own What Happens Next journey. In this video, I want to talk about financial independence and the 3 simple steps you can take today to work out whether you're completely financially independent. And in this video, I talk about what the Stoics, the ancient Stoics, can teach us. We've talked about AI, we're going to talk about the Stoics. The ancient Stoics can teach us to live our best What Happens Next lives. Hopefully that's useful. Have a lovely day, and we'll see you on the channel soon.